First up, just a little disclaimer about this video in case you can't already tell. I'm not in my home right now. In fact, I'm not even in the same country, and therefore I don't have my studio. I am also dressed less appropriately than I normally am for such videos. That's due to the aforementioned not being in the same country. And as it happens, I'm wearing a shirt for the new office complex that I've just signed for an office in, so I guess it works. Today I want to talk to you about electric car efficiency in the United States, specifically how efficient electric cars really are, and whether owning an electric car is better for the environment than owning a gasoline or petrol-powered car. Over the last couple of years, there have been lots of people arguing the point, claiming that owning a petrol car is worse for the environment than owning an electric car, due to the emissions that are created not only refining and producing the battery packs that go into those vehicles, but also generating the electricity that's used to power those cars. Any electric car advocate will tell you that most electric car owners do everything they possibly can to ensure that their cars run on renewable electricity, either generated on the roof of their home through photovoltaic solar panel installation, or by buying their electricity from an energy provider that provides zero carbon electricity, or near as damn it. But the fact remains that electric cars are only as clean as the grid they are powered from, and depending on where you live, depends on how green your electric car really is. Now, the Union of Concerned Scientists have been tracking this for the last couple of years, and they produce regular reports detailing how clean electric cars really are when compared to petrol or diesel models. And this year, the new report has just launched, and it shows that electric cars are cleaner than they've ever been before. And what's more, 97% of all Americans live in an area where even if they plug their car in and charge from the local grid mix, that car is still more efficient and better for the environment than the best gasoline cars out there. Using grid data from 2014, that's the most up-to-date information available to it, the Union of Concerned Scientists concluded that if you live on the west coast of the US or you live in the northeast of the US, you'd need to have a petrol car that achieved a fuel economy of at least 70 miles per gallon before that car was cleaner and better for the environment than the battery electric vehicle that your neighbour might drive. Additionally, if you live in New York City, you'd need to buy a gasoline car that did more than 160 miles per gallon before the emissions from the local utility grid were worse for the environment than the 160 mile per gallon petrol car. Right now, there are no cars on the market that produce that kind of high gas mileage, and there aren't ever going to be that don't have a plug. Now, according to the UCS, there are just 7 places in the whole of the US where driving an electric car off power generated from the local grid means that you'll be getting an equivalent MPG of 50 miles per gallon or less. One place, in the Rocky Mountains, is the equivalent of 40 miles per gallon if you drive an electric car from the local power mix. That's super low. 6 more fit somewhere between 41 miles per gallon and 50 miles per gallon. But the overwhelming majority, 97% or more, live in an area where there's 50 miles per gallon equivalent or higher for an electric car powered off the local grid. And as I've already said, New York beats everyone else with an MPGE of 160 miles per gallon if you happen to live in New York City. So what does this mean? Well, there are parts of the US where owning an efficient hybrid car, say the Toyota Prius hybrid or perhaps the new Hyundai Ioniq hybrid, which has a version that will achieve 58 mpg, might be better than owning an electric car. But even those areas are fairly small. Now, I should comment here that the data that was used to prepare this latest version of the Union of Concerned Scientists survey into such matters uses data from the 2014 grid, and that was 3 years ago, and we know that the electricity grid has already improved substantially since then. So expect this report just to get better and better and better from the standpoint of how green electric cars really are. I don't think it's going to be that long before we see figures of 98 or maybe even 99% of the US population being in an area where driving an electric car is better for the planet and more fuel efficient than driving a petrol vehicle. Does this mean that petrol or gasoline-powered cars are on their way out? Well, probably. But it also shows that no matter what, electric cars are reaching the kind of efficiencies where it starts to make sense to make the switch, especially if electric cars start to get the kind of ranges that we're seeing from the brand new Chevrolet Bolt EV and, of course, the upcoming Tesla Model 3 and next generation Nissan Leaf. If electric cars are all capable of going 250 miles or more, then the case to have a gasoline vehicle, namely the ability to travel somewhere between 250 and 400 miles per fill, starts to become a bit of a moot point, especially since most people need to take a wee stop every 300 miles or so. At least I do. But what do you think? Is this report good news for electric vehicles? Are you still unconvinced about grid electricity and where that power comes from? Do you think that electric cars are greener in your area or worse for the planet? Leave your thoughts in the comments below. Don't forget to like, comment and subscribe. And if you like what you saw today and you want to help me out, please consider donating to our Patreon crowdfunding campaign. I've left a link below and there's a clickable one at the end of this video. As always, I'll try and be back tomorrow, but as I'm sure you can appreciate, I'm on a trip at the moment to the UK, visiting a very poorly family member, and family does come first. Until then, I'll see you soon, and keep evolving!